morning. Recording audio, yeah, okay. Good morning. So, what day is it today? The 11th, it's a Monday. So I thought I'd just basically check in, just to give you an update, capture my thoughts for my own prosperity and information for yourself if you find it useful, or if you're empathizing with me, or if you're experiencing what I'm experiencing. So, another eBay outage, second one in a fortnight, less than a fortnight. I logged on this morning on my app and it was completely down. That was on my phone. I'm using my phone today. Something's going on at eBay, innit? For sure. Anyway, since the early April, that's when the raw mail prices went up. And when I reset or increased my prices by an average of 50p, some at £1 and some at £1.50, because I made mistakes. I did them 2 or 3 times because I wasn't getting any feedback that they'd been done, but they had been done. You know, the lag in the server, which was a problem. And as I've kind of like been ordering replenished stock, booking it in, that's when I'm identifying them. But it's a very slow process. But it's obviously had an impact on my sales. They've dropped a lot. I'm well down. But I also see that other people are complaining about the same thing. So I don't know if it's the economy, if it's the prices that I increased, or indeed if it's the war, the feeling of uncertainty. All I keep seeing is high street shops closing down left, right, and centre. Not 1 or 2 of them, but chains of like 300, 200 of this. And a business that's been in existence for 150 years, gone, machulla, bankrupt. So it's pretty dire, really, isn't it? Importantly, we've just got to survive it and get through it, because this period will end. But I've been using AI a lot recently, and in particular, I was using ChatGPT. That was my first introduction to AI. But in recent times, I've realised that Gemini on Google does it just as well. And because I tend to do searches on Google, that's when I discovered the AI part. So I started asking questions, And one of the questions was, why are my sales going down? And it came back with about 10 reasons of what it could be for me to check. And I thought, I've done that. It's not that reason. I've done that. And then I basically said to it, but in early April, I increased my prices, and some by £1 and some by £1.50 because of server lag. And it came back to me and it said, "Oh, that'll be it then." I thought, okay, I think we kind of know it, but it was an angle for me to explore. So I said to him, well, what can I do about it? And it immediately went into an action plan. And I went through the action plan. I thought, okay, I get it. But it was making some assumptions. And I corrected those assumptions with actual facts. And it altered the plan. And, with a little bit more tweaking and fine tuning of facts, information that he wouldn't know, I put that in, and it came out with this plan for me to explore. So I went through each step, and by Limmy, winner, chicken dinner. Well, so of sorts. It basically said that the only way that I can identify the listings that I increased, because the problem was I didn't just increase it by 50p. The initial ones I did, but others I changed my mind, increased it by 51p. So if something was £3.99, the new price would be £4.50. And the reason why I did that was because the early ones that I changed, if I increased it by 50p, it just went from £3.99 to £4.49. And when I looked at the list, I didn't know if that was the original price or not. So I thought the only way to know is to change it to a rounded number, so that I could, because all my prices ended in 49 or 99. So if I rounded it up by 51p, it would go to 450, and I would see listings ending in whole round numbers, 30s, 40s, 50s, pounds, that kind of thing, £5, whatever, whole numbers. And that was easier for me to identify that they'd been changed. But the problem was that I didn't know if they'd gone up by £1 or 150, because I did them twice. Some of them went up by £1 and a penny. Is that right? Yeah, when at Fortnight. No, yeah, because I did it twice, 251s, so £1 and something or something like that. I can't remember. But I gave it that information, and it said, okay, the only way to do it is to basically go into eBay, grab all your active listings in a spreadsheet, and then go and grab sales in March. And it did a VLOOKUP. I ended up with 2 tabs. The problem was with my active listings, I ended up with 19,000 lines on the spreadsheet, because it doesn't just bring over the listing, it brings down all the sub variations as well. And I thought, well, that's going to be a problem. And he said, no, don't worry about it. So I kept marching through whatever it told me to do. And I ended up with 2 columns, one with the original price, sales price in March of anything that I sold in March. And then the price difference between the current price. That was it. So I ended up with all these price differences, and it got me to sort the column and filter and sort and all that kind of thing. And I ended up homing in on those listings that had increased by 50p, £1 and 150, or 149 and 151. I did it either side. Same with 99, £1 and £1 and a penny. They all appeared in the list. So we extracted all those, and then it got me to open up another tab, and then it removed all the duplicates. It showed me how to do it. So these features have always been there, but I never used them. I possibly learned about them when I was a kid, but because I never used them, you forget them. So it took me through it, and it was just easy. Anyway, cut a long story short, I ended up with 2 tabs, one with 133 listings and another one with 44 listings, which is about right. Maybe 10 to 15% of my listings kind of got changed. So I started working through the list, and some of them only went up by 50p. So okay, so it deselected them, and then I kind of realized that this is going to take me time. So it's a project for me to work on this week, next week. But the beautiful thing is it's given me some focus to go in and identify which has changed and make changes. Some of them I've already identified already, and as part of the booking in new stock process. So I'm optimistic on that level. That's good. So I'm hopefully I'll be able to rectify those, and any that I've missed, I'll pick them up over time anyway. So that's good news. Thank you, Gemini. Great. If you're not using AI and you've got a problem to solve, you've got to start thinking that you're not on your own. It's not a reason to tackle it because you don't know what to do. All you've got to do is ask ChatGPT or Gemini and tell it what the problem is, and provide it with as much information as possible, and respond to what it says, and start following that suggestion that it's giving you. I've asked it if it can do other things for me. I've got this on my Shopify store. I'm on what they call Theme 1, and it's limited in its scope. The next level up is called Theme 2, and you get Theme 2 by buying a storefront, and the storefront will range from $100 to say $400, and the one I've identified, being the schnorrer that I am, is the $100 one, but it appears to do everything what I want. It's called XTRA, XTRA, and that gives you a shop front, but it also elevates your store to what they call Theme 2. And in Theme 2, you can do a lot more with it. A lot of upselling, cross-selling, there's lots of apps that have already built into it in some way, and you can do marketing and all that kind of thing with it. Anyway, and of course you get a beautiful front shop store, which has got more features on it, more facilities. So I told it what I wanted to do and what type of business I've got, and it came out. It said it's a perfect fit. He said if you're on a budget and you don't want to actually do any coding and everything. So I put all these things that I want to do in it. He said, yeah, it'll do all that. And the final thing I put in is I want a customer to be able to leave a message when they're on a listing. I want them to put a message seller box on the listing. Not all listings, just certain listings. So for bespoke requirements, a color range. If I say you can have 10 zips, any color you like, they can type in the colors, right? And it said, yeah, it can do that. But it gave me some code to copy and paste into a certain part of the Shopify store. And I've done that once before on something else. But ordinarily, this feature you'd have to basically get an app to do it, and the app would cost you another $10 a month, you know what I mean? So I'm just glad that I'm doing it it feels like I've got an assistant with a brain, a better brain than me, you know. I said to it, I says, I can't help it, I'm human. And it replied, say, don't worry about it. I thought, oh, maybe it'll make you laugh, it will. And in other cases, I thought, I'm better than AI, aren't I? And it came back, no comment. So it's like having a humorous, right-hand person. Anyway, in the meantime, that's all good. I'm optimistic about that. I feel as if AI is going to improve my business in some way. On the other hand, this Inkfrog thing, the tool that I use to list and manage my inventory, create listings and manage my inventory, I've literally switched it off because I migrated over to an app inside Shopify called Lion's app. If you're watching Teemo, thank you very much. He's the assistant at the other side. They're based in Germany. I used them once before to try and list my listings, push my listings from Shopify onto Etsy, but something went wrong with the app and they pulled it. So I never went back with them again. But recently, when this thing happened with Inkfrog, I saw somebody was basically giving it a shout out in a Facebook group. So I went and investigated it. I thought I'll try it with a few listings, and it kind of worked. They give you a 15-day free trial, and it worked. I thought, okay, I'll try and up creating a listing, and I pushed that over to eBay. That worked as well. Then I tried changing a photograph on Shopify, and it changed it over on eBay. Okay, all I had to do was I decide if eBay was going to be my master data or if it was Shopify. So I went with Shopify because that's the logical one to go with, because Shopify is now becoming my Inkfrog. And because it's becoming my Inkfrog and I'm creating listings and reviewing listings, I'm updating those listings with additional information. There's further fields that you can populate to make your listing more user-friendly and more informative for the algorithms and all that kind of thing, for Google in particular. And for things like when you're exporting, they want the country of origin and the HSI codes and all that kind of thing. So there are fields for it. So I found out how to obtain that information and to put it into the listing in a smarter way. And it's just improving my listings on Shopify, which is great, because that's what I want. I want to develop my Shopify store. I want that to be my main breadwinner. I want that to be so I want it to replace eBay long term, basically. I still will always be with eBay. Like I say, I love eBay. eBay's great. eBay helped me create this business. You know what I mean? Without eBay, I couldn't have done it. No way. So I'll always keep eBay going, but eBay sales down. It's too volatile. With my store, it's sort of consistent and it's consistently growing as well. It's just slow. It's a slow game. It could be faster with social media and ads and that kind of thing, but I'll deal with that when I'm ready. In the meantime, I'll have to tackle eBay because, I still rely on eBay for the bulk of my income, for cash flow, for volume, because the volume enables me to actually stay under the 100 grand to get average pricing with raw mail. So all those kind of things that come into play, you see. And I've got a 2% promotion across the board on everything. I feel as if I might need to increase it again back to 7% temporarily, just to get me through this dip. But the algorithm keeps going down. Twice, not the algorithm, the platform went down twice. Went down a couple of weeks ago, which I think had something to do with Inkfrog. I don't know if it did or not, but I feel as if it did, because Inkfrog immediately came out and said they're closing down. I felt as if it could have been a backdoor into eBay. Who knows? They haven't given a reason. Nobody knows. It's all speculation. So, take no notice of me. I'm just one of them thinkers, overthinking things. But in the meantime, they went down again over the weekend, and everybody's very upset. They're getting warnings that a buyer is getting a warning saying that the seller will not allow you to buy if you haven't made 10 purchases. There's a facility inside your listing where you can click it to say, sell to sellers, to buyers. In other words, avoid sellers with brand new accounts. Wait until they've got minimum of 10 feedback points and then sell to them. Well, that's what their sellers are saying, is that the buyers are getting this thing, as if it's somebody's gone in there and selected that button for all sellers. So that's the reason why sales have gone down. Could be the economy though, I don't know. However, you know, I see some of the popular resellers on YouTube, the UK ones, Reseller, you know, Retro Reseller, Nick and Andrea, Gentleman Reseller, Ricky Resells, and they seem to be doing okay. But they seem to be doing okay on other platforms, Vinted, Poshmark, whatever they sell on, whatnot, whatever. And not so great on eBay, but they're not complaining about eBay, right? So they seem to be doing okay. However, what I am seeing a lot of is people speculating or stating that they feel that the sales are going down because eBay have introduced the live selling, and the live selling is pulling people away from the static platform to this dynamic selling model. And I feel as if they could, well, I'm in two minds about it. You know, there are so many people out there that don't know live. They haven't gone onto live. Maybe they do, I don't know. Well, I don't go check it out. I have checked it out once or twice because I was invited to go and sell live. I've had the training for it. But unfortunately, all this change with Inkfrog has basically put me on the back foot, so I've had to put it on hold for the time being. But I know where the material is. I've got to go back. There's a lot of products I've got to sort out. But in the meantime, I've got like, you know, brand new products to list that I've invested heavily in. You know, I spent £600-700 on some fabric, just fat quarters the other day. Like these, like that, you know, these kind of things. I mean, each one of the, I don't even know how much it is. All I know is about 800 quid. And this is about a third of it. But, so I've got to get all that in first. And 1st of June, Inkfrog switched off. And what people are saying is that your listings that you created on Inkfrog, the photographs are stored on their servers and pushed over to eBay. So on the 1st of June, when they switch it off, the connection between the photograph on their server and the one displayed on eBay is going to break. So that's going to be a nightmare. However, I've basically seen that I can transfer the photograph over. However, I don't believe it will be an automatic transfer, because I think the server over on Shopify will see that there's still a photograph on eBay, even though there isn't one. They'll see some kind of footprint, I think. And so it's going to be, I'm going to have to go into the eBay listings, delete the photographs, and then do some kind of refresh or push over to Shopify, over to eBay. But I've accepted that's going to happen. The way I feel about it at the moment is I'll live with it. But come 1st of June, I'm probably going to freak out. I'm probably going to go, why didn't you tell me? And I know about it all. I don't feel as if there's anything I can do at this stage. The worst case scenario, according to this fellow Teemo at Lines Up in Germany, is that the worst case scenario is that I can delete all my listings on Shopify and start all over again, and he will push all my listings over. The problem is that when you push a new listing over, unless you put the eBay pricing in the Shopify listing, if you put the eBay pricing in there and push it over, it'll take that pricing, the eBay pricing with it. If you've got Shopify pricing in it, it'll take that. So I can't afford to go in and do a manual. There is an automated facility where I can do automated pricing, but you know, all my prices are different. You know, they don't translate perfectly across. Because I sell something for £1 over on Shopify, it doesn't mean I sell it for, say, £2 over on eBay or $2.50. It could be different. Depends on the actual space that I'm in and how competitive that listing is. So I might do it right down to the bone, or I might have a decent profit in it. I don't know. So I'm hoping I don't have to do that. I think what I'll do, I'll go into the list. I'll put my shop on holiday for 2 weeks. I'll have a holiday. I'll have a break from it all. And I'll just sit there going through every listing, deleting it. Basically doing that complete review. See if I can equalise and rebalance all my listings and reprice things and that kind of thing, and get to a real fresh situation, you know. That way it will also improve the listings on Shopify, but we'll see. Other than that, there's not a lot to report on. But I also think, you know, I've got about 1,200 plus listings. I'm thinking of basically reducing them by 25% and cutting out a lot of the noise. So, for example, I've got a backup stock of nylon zips upstairs. I keep 100 of each colour that I work with, and I've got about 100 of each colour and size in play here. So it's my working stock there, and my backup stock is up there. And every, say, 3 or 4 months, I'll put an order in of a few £1,000s just to backfill my sold stock, you know. So what I do is I've got a separate listing where I sell 100 zips in a colour, but I haven't got all the colours because it just doesn't work like that. But this listing has got gaps in it, and therefore it doesn't get any views. Gaps in terms of inventory, gaps, you know, zero inventory. So it doesn't get any views on eBay. And I've only got one customer that comes onto my store and buys 100 at a time. So I feel as if it's an unnecessary listing to manage. And so I've got 2 sizes in each listing. So I think I've got about 8 listings, only 8 listings. But nevertheless, because there's 44 variations, 44 colours in each size, so I've got 88 variations, and if, say, 60 of them have got a 0 inventory, in Shopify it shows up as 60 lines, and it's just creating noise and it's unnecessary work. So the long shot is I'm going to delete those listings, get rid of them, because they're just not profitable, and I'm paying for them in some way, and I don't need it. So I'm going to clear them. And I'm going to work through old dead listings as well. Either clear them, sell off, take the stock and sell it off when I go live. Or if it's a good quality stock and I can still get it and replace it, I'll just rework the listing, change the pricing. These will be listings that I haven't looked at for 2 or 3 years. There's still plenty there that I haven't done. So that's one thing I'm doing. A big housekeeping exercise, basically. See if I can get it down to under 1,000 listings. On my other eBay shop, which is a disaster really, is my watch straps and some second-hand stuff that I'll put on there. And that's why I want to do is my reselling account. I want to change the name and basically get all the watch straps together in families. You know, I might have a certain design and I've got 10 sizes and 5 colours, a bit like the zips really, you know. And I've had enough of it. I just don't want to deal with those anymore. So I'm going to cancel those listings and bundle them together and sell them off as a job lot, and say goodbye to the watch straps. There might be about 2 grand's worth of watch straps there. So I'll probably, if I get back £1,000, it'll be fine, because I can put it into the reselling stuff. And I've got all them shoes upstairs. I've got all the jackets. I've got the suits. I've got lots of other stuff up there. In my house, I've got such a lot of stuff. I was watching Ricky Resells yesterday, and he got £9 for a beer mat, a red striped beer mat. I think it was a used one. Well, somewhere in my house, I think it's in the loft, I've probably got about 40 Guinness ones, brand new. I think my dad robbed them from a pub about 50 years ago. For sure they're vintage. I don't know where they are. I think they're in the loft. And my dad went up in the loft the other week to, you know, the water tank. We was getting a drip outside in the back garden. So he went in there to bend the cock down a little bit so that it pushes the water level down. And I said to him, I said, what's up there? And he said, you got books up there. And he said, get rid of them. You know, one of these, I told you in the past, I've been a bit OCD on things. And when I get interested in a particular subject, like once it was British history, and I would go and buy as many history books. Another one was hypnotherapy. I've got about 50 books on hypnotherapy. They're expensive books. Some of them, like at the time, were 80, 90 quid, you know. And then things like the paranormal and that. And I'll go through phases, and they're just footprints in my life, you know, these things. I don't have an interest in them, but I just don't have much time left to read them, so they've got to go. So all their books, under the stairs, for instance, got big boxes full of books. And cassette tapes as well, you know, positive mental attitude cassette tapes. Got loads of them. But there is a way that you can transfer them now onto digital media. So I've got to try and find a way to do that, and then I'm going to sell them off. I've got so much to list. So it'll be interesting actually when I get round to doing it, because then I feel like I've got something to talk about. At the moment, it's boring, isn't it? That's the feedback that I get. Boring. Anyway, this is just a timestamp, just checking in. And how long have I been talking for? 25 minutes. Time to stop. A good time to stop in at 25 minutes. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Give us some feedback. Are you experiencing a dip in sales? Be like good to know, because it makes me feel better when I know that other people are suffering. Do you know what I mean? It's that feeling. Otherwise, if everyone's doing well and I'm not, I take it personally. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I want to get on the phone to eBay, what's going on? Anyway, thanks very much. Check you later. Bye.